There was a time not too long ago when Rosie O'Donnell felt like she was losing her youngest child, Clay. Rosie, now 63, describes that period of their lives as dark and lonely. A time when her once joyful home had become quiet. Too quiet. Clay, just 12 years old, had been diagnosed with autism, and while the diagnosis itself was a jolt, like being kicked in the stomach, Rosie said, what followed was even harder. A slow, heartbreaking retreat into silence. Clay would come home from school, go straight to their room, and shut the door. They didn't want playdates, didn't want to talk, didn't want to go anywhere, Rosie shares. They just disappeared into themselves. The only consistent sound in the house came from the videos Clay watched obsessively. Clips from Battle for Dream Island, an animated YouTube series that became the one bridge between them. I've basically become a scholar on Battle for Dream Island, Rosie jokes. But there was little else to laugh about. Even the drawings Clay created began to shift. Darker, sharper, violent. Some had blood, some had knives. Some scared me, she admits, her voice tight. And despite nightly checks of their browser history, confirming they weren't consuming violent media, Rosie couldn't explain the change. I kept thinking, don't float away from me. I was terrified. It was during this season of fear and helplessness that an unlikely lifeline appeared, one that came from behind prison walls. Rosie had publicly expressed support for Lyle and Eric Menendez, the brothers convicted of killing their parents, after posting a TikTok where she voiced belief in their appeal for freedom. That post led to a surprising friendship with Lyle Menendez, who invited her to visit him in prison. During her visit, he introduced her to something completely unexpected, the Guide Dogs of America, GDA program, where inmates help train service dogs for people in need. The dogs, Rosie learned, weren't just for the blind or veterans with PTSD. They also trained dogs for children with autism, and the program was entirely free for families in need. Rosie was intrigued but hesitant. Accepting a dog meant committing to a 10-day in-person training course away from home. And that meant leaving Clay, something she had never done. I'd never been apart from them for that long, she says. But Lyle encouraged me, and honestly, I was out of options. In February 2024, Rosie packed her bags and left for the training. It was life-changing, she says, her eyes misting at the memory. To be with other parents of autistic children, to cry together, laugh together, to understand each other without words. It was one of the most cathartic experiences of my adult life. 2 weeks later, she returned home with Kuma, a gentle black Labrador retriever with a wagging tail and eyes that seemed to understand pain and love all at once. I knelt down and whispered, "Okay, little Kuma, look at me, girl. We're going to go save this kid. Let's go." From the moment Kuma stepped inside the house, everything shifted. Clay lit up. They were loving each other from the start, Rosie recalls. Suddenly there was this connective force alive in the house. Simple things that once felt impossible, grocery shopping, going out for a meal, became manageable. Not because Clay was suddenly cured, but because Kuma became their bridge to the world. Clay would say, "We need to bring Kuma because she needs to practice her commands," Rosie says with a smile. But I knew the truth. They needed her, and Kuma was giving them courage. Clay, who also has ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, previously refused to eat outside the home. But with Kuma by their side, head gently resting on their lap, they could enjoy a meal with their mother. It sounds small, Rosie says, but to me it felt like a miracle. And then came another dramatic change. After Donald Trump was elected, Rosie made a decision. She was leaving the United States. I needed to do it for my own sanity, she says, and for my child. With 4 adult children remaining in the U.S., Rosie and Clay packed their lives, and with Kuma in tow, moved to Ireland. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Ireland slowed everything down, Rosie reflects. We walk everywhere. We breathe differently. It's calmer. And it gave Clay something else. Freedom. They told me just a few weeks ago, Mom, it's better here. It's calmer, and you get to be a real person. Can you imagine your child saying that to you? These days, Rosie and Clay go on hour-long walks together. Just the three of them. Kuma leads the way, sniffing and trotting, while Rosie and Clay talk. Not just about Battle for Dream Island, but about life, feelings, the future. We're building a connection I was so afraid we'd lost, Rosie says. And it's because of this dog. Now, Rosie is determined to share this gift with others. Her new documentary, Unleashing Hope, The Power of Service Dogs for Children with Autism, streaming on Hulu beginning April 22nd, tells the story of Kuma, Clay, and other families transformed by the GDA program. To find something that actually worked? It was revelatory, Rosie says. If you have an autistic child under 12, I want you to know, this is out there, this is free, and this could change your life. As for Kuma, she didn't just save Clay, Rosie says, voice breaking. She saved both of us.